My name is Emily, and I never thought a single phone call could turn my world upside down. It was a typical Saturday morning, the kind where the sun was just starting to peek through the curtains, casting a warm glow over my small apartment. I was settled into my favorite armchair, coffee in hand, enjoying the quiet before the day's chaos. That's when my phone rang, and my mother's name flashed on the screen. With a smile, I answered, not knowing what was about to unfold. "Emily, darling," Helen's voice came through, oddly formal, which immediately set off alarm bells. "Hey, Mom, what's up?" I replied, trying to keep my tone light. "Well, as you know, my birthday is next weekend, and we're having a gala at the Grand Hotel," she began, her words measured. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Yeah, I've had it marked on my calendar for months. I'm really looking forward to it." "That's the thing, dear." She paused, and I could almost hear her gathering her thoughts. "We've been reviewing the guest list and, well, we've decided it would be best if you didn't attend this particular event." My coffee mug hovered midair, my heart skipping a beat. "Excuse me?" "Don't take it personally, Emily. We see each other so often anyway, and your mother wants to focus on people who are important to the business," she explained, her voice softening in an attempt to cushion the blow. "But Mom, am I not important?" My voice was sharper than I intended, the hurt evident. "Emily, you know we love you, but your brother and sister, they need to network with the business community. One of them will take over the company someday," she said, her words like a punch to the gut. I gripped the phone tighter, my mind racing. "Since when do you and Dad decide what I should like or not like? I've always been part of these family events." There was a shuffling sound, and then my father's voice boomed through the speaker. "Emily, be reasonable. Your siblings need this opportunity more than you do." Without another word, I hung up. I sat there, frozen, staring at nothing, the coffee going cold beside me. Their message was clear. I wasn't important enough to include. I wasn't valuable enough when push came to shove. I was expendable. The silence in my apartment was deafening. I sat there, the weight of my parents' words pressing down on me like a heavy blanket. My eyes wandered to the table where a luxury watch lay, wrapped in a velvet box. I had saved for months, working extra hours, skipping out on dinners with friends, all to buy this watch for my mother's birthday. It was supposed to be a symbol of my love and appreciation for her, something she could wear proudly at her gala. But now, looking at it, all I could feel was a bitter taste in my mouth. It was clear they didn't value me the way I valued them. The watch, which once represented my affection, now felt like a monument to my naivety. A strange calm washed over me as a plan began to form in my mind. I walked over to the table, picked up the watch, and placed it on my wrist. It was heavy, not just in weight, but in meaning. This watch wasn't going to be a gift for my mother anymore. It was going to be a gift for myself. A reminder that I was worth more than their dismissive words. I thought about my siblings, Tom and Sarah, who were always the stars of the family show. They were the ones who would inherit the business, the ones who mattered. I had always been the quiet one, the artist, the one who didn't fit into their business-centric world. But maybe it was time I started fitting into my own world. I felt a mix of liberation and guilt. Liberation because I was finally making a choice for myself, not for them. Guilt because deep down, I still loved my family, even if they didn't seem to love me the way I needed. But the guilt was quickly overshadowed by a sense of resolve. I wouldn't be invisible anymore. I wouldn't let them treat me like an afterthought. The decision was made. I would keep the watch, and I would use it as a symbol of my newfound independence. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one where I would define my own worth, not let others dictate it for me. I needed to talk to someone who would understand. I dialed Amanda's number, my best friend since high school, the one person who had always seen me for who I truly was. "Emily, what's up? You sound off," Amanda answered, concern lacing her voice. "They uninvited me from Mom's birthday gala," I explained, the words still tasting bitter. "Apparently, I'm not important enough to be there." "That's ridiculous, Em. What are you going to do?" Amanda asked, her voice rising in indignation. I've decided to keep the watch I bought for her, I said, my resolve strengthening with each word. And I think we should go on a road trip, just you and me. Let's take the watch and hit the road. Forget about them for a while. There was a brief pause on the other end of the line. Are you serious? That sounds amazing. Let's do it. I'll bring my camera gear. We can make this a photography trip too? Perfect. I need to call my boss first, though. I've been putting off taking vacation time for a year, I replied, already feeling the excitement of the plan. I immediately dialed my boss at the graphic design firm where I worked. Mark, remember that vacation time I've been putting off for a year? Is it possible for me to take 2 weeks starting Monday? Actually, that's perfect timing. You just wrapped up the Anderson project yesterday. Take the time you've earned, Mark responded, his voice supportive. With that settled, I called Amanda back. Can you come over right now and bring your camera gear? We're keeping the watch and going on a road trip. 40 minutes later, Amanda arrived, her eyes widening when she saw the watch on my wrist. That's what you bought for your mom? It's gorgeous. It was supposed to be for my mom, but now it's mine, and tomorrow you and I are driving it across the country. Amanda's face lit up with excitement. Seriously? I can bring my professional gear and shoot landscapes along the way. It would be perfect for my portfolio. Exactly. You take pictures, I'll drive, and neither of us will think about my family, I said, feeling a surge of determination. Amanda grabbed her camera. Let's take some photos of you with your new watch first. For the next hour, I posed beside various landmarks in my apartment, Amanda working her magic with her camera. I selected the best shot, me standing proudly with the watch, the city skyline in the background, and posted it on Instagram with the caption, "This was supposed to be a gift, but when someone doesn't want you at their party, you keep the presents for yourself." Within minutes, comments flooded in asking what happened. Who wouldn't want me at their party? I ignored them all, satisfaction warming my chest. The plan was set. We were going on an adventure, and for once, it was all about me. The sun was barely up when Amanda and I loaded our bags into the trunk of my old but reliable sedan. The watch, now a symbol of my journey, was securely on my wrist. I turned the key and the engine roared to life, the sound of freedom echoing through the quiet streets. We drove out of the city, the skyline shrinking in the rearview mirror, replaced by open roads and the promise of adventure. Amanda had her camera ready, capturing the first light of dawn painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. I can't believe we're actually doing this, Amanda said, her eyes wide with excitement. Me neither, I replied, feeling a sense of liberation with each mile we put between us and my family. We stopped at a small diner for breakfast, the kind of place with a jukebox and waitresses who called you hun. Amanda took photos of the diner, the patrons, and me sipping coffee, the watch prominently displayed. As we continued our journey, Amanda's camera clicked incessantly. She captured landscapes, roadside attractions, and candid moments of our laughter and conversations. I posted a few of these pictures on Instagram, each caption reflecting my new outlook on life. Freedom is a road trip away, finding myself 1 mile at a time and watch in hand, world at my feet. My phone buzzed incessantly with calls and messages from my family, but I ignored them all. I didn't want to hear their excuses or their pleas for me to return. This trip was about me, about reclaiming my identity and my worth. We stopped at a scenic overlook, the view breathtaking. Amanda set up her camera on a tripod, and we took a selfie with the vast landscape behind us. "This is what life is about, Em," she said, looking at the photo on the camera's screen. I nodded, the wind in my hair, the sun warming my face. It's about choosing yourself, even when others don't. As the day turned into night, we found a quaint bed and breakfast to rest. Over dinner, Amanda shared stories from her travels, and I talked about my dreams, the ones I had put on hold for my family's expectations. Lying in bed that night, I felt a mix of emotions. There was a sense of vindication, knowing I was no longer living for others' approval. But there was also a tinge of sadness, knowing that my absence at the gala might hurt my mother. However, I couldn't let that guilt overshadow the journey I was on. The next morning, we continued our drive, the road ahead open and inviting. I was no longer the invisible daughter. I was Emily, the woman who chose herself. And with each mile, I felt more and more like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Days turned into weeks as Amanda and I traversed the country, our journey becoming a tapestry of experiences. We explored national parks, hiked trails, and camped under the stars. Each day brought new adventures, new landscapes, and a deeper understanding of myself. One evening, as we sat by a campfire, Amanda looked at me, her camera resting on her lap. "You've changed, Em. You seem lighter." I smiled, the warmth of the fire reflecting in my eyes. "I feel lighter. I've been carrying the weight of my family's expectations for so long. This trip has shown me that I can define my own life." The watch on my wrist, once a symbol of my parents' dismissive attitude, now felt like a talisman of my independence. It was a constant reminder of the moment I decided to choose myself. During our travels, I had time to reflect on my relationship with my family. I realized that while I couldn't change them, I could change how I reacted to their actions. I didn't need their approval to feel worthy. I had to find that within myself. Amanda and I visited small towns, met locals with rich stories, and listened to their tales of life, love, and loss. Each encounter added layers to my understanding of humanity and my place within it. One particular day, we stopped at a small art gallery in a town nestled in the mountains. The owner, an elderly woman with a gentle smile, noticed the watch on my wrist. "That's a beautiful piece. It has stories to tell, doesn't it?" I nodded, suddenly feeling the urge to share. It was supposed to be a gift for my mother, but she didn't want me at her birthday gala, so I kept it for myself as a reminder to value my own worth. The woman's eyes twinkled with understanding. Sometimes the greatest gifts we give ourselves are the ones we keep. They're symbols of our journey, our growth. Her words resonated with me. I bought a small painting from her gallery, a vibrant landscape that captured the essence of our trip. It would be a new addition to my apartment, a physical reminder of this transformative journey. As we drove further, I started to document my thoughts and feelings in a travel journal. I wrote about the beauty of the landscapes, the kindness of strangers, and, most importantly, my evolving self. Each entry was a step toward healing, toward understanding that my value wasn't tied to my family's recognition. One night, under a sky ablaze with stars, I made a decision. I would reach out to my family, not to seek their approval or to return to the way things were, but to set boundaries. I wanted to communicate that while I still loved them, I wouldn't let their expectations dictate my life anymore. I picked up my phone, the screen illuminating my face. I drafted a message to my mother, explaining that I was on a journey of self-discovery, that I valued our relationship, but I needed space to grow. I hit send, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. The next morning, I woke up to a reply from my mother. It was short, but it acknowledged my need for space and expressed her love. It wasn't an apology, but it was a step toward understanding. Amanda and I continued our journey, each day bringing new revelations. I was no longer the invisible daughter. I was Emily, the woman who chose herself. And with each mile, I felt more and more like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The end of our road trip approached as the familiar landscapes of our hometown came into view. The journey had been transformative, not just for me but for Amanda as well, who had captured countless images that would enrich her portfolio. As we drove through the city, I felt a mix of emotions. There was a sense of returning to a place I had once considered home, but now it felt different. I was different. Amanda turned to me. "You know, Em, you've inspired me. I'm going to start my own photography studio. I want to capture stories like ours, stories of self-discovery and growth." I smiled, proud of her decision. "That's amazing, Amanda. You have a gift for seeing beauty in the ordinary." We pulled up to my apartment, the familiar building now feeling like a new chapter rather than a return to the past. I took a deep breath, the watch on my wrist a comforting weight. It was time to face my family, but on my terms. I invited Amanda to stay for dinner, and as we cooked, I felt a sense of calm. I had made peace with my choices, with my family's inability to fully understand me. I was ready to set boundaries and communicate my needs. The doorbell rang, and I opened it to find my mother standing there, her expression a mix of concern and hope. "Emily, can we talk?" I nodded, inviting her in. Amanda excused herself, giving us space. "Mom, I want you to know that I love you, but I need to live my life on my terms," I began, my voice steady. She listened, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I'm sorry for how things went. I didn't realize how much we were asking of you, how little we appreciated who you are." It wasn't an easy conversation, but it was necessary. We talked about expectations, about my need for independence, and about the importance of mutual respect. It wasn't a complete resolution, but it was a start. After my mother left, I felt a sense of closure. I wasn't the same person who had left on this journey, and neither was my relationship with my family. We had all grown, even if in different ways. Amanda returned, her eyes curious. "How did it go?" "It was okay. We have a long way to go, but it's a step forward," I replied, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. That night, as I lay in my bed, the watch on my nightstand, I reflected on the journey. I had found myself on the open road, in the laughter with Amanda, in the kindness of strangers, and in the solitude of my thoughts. The next morning, I woke up with a new sense of purpose. I decided to take the watch to a jeweler, not to return it, but to have it engraved with a new message, for Emily, who found her own path. I also made plans to redecorate my apartment, incorporating elements from my journey. The painting from this mountain town would hang prominently, a daily reminder of the beauty in the world and within myself. As I started this new chapter, I realized that the road trip had been more than an escape. It was a pilgrimage to self-discovery. I was no longer the invisible daughter. I was Emily, the woman who chose herself, and with each step forward, I felt more and more like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Weeks turned into months, and the lessons from my road trip became the foundation of my new life. I had transformed my apartment into a space that reflected my journey, with the painting from the mountain town as the centerpiece. The watch, now engraved with a message of self-empowerment, sat on my dresser, a daily reminder of my growth. I had started a small online business selling travel journals and accessories, inspired by my own experiences. Each journal was handcrafted, with pages for sketches, photographs, and reflections. It was a way to share the gift of self-discovery with others. Amanda's photography studio had opened, and I often visited, watching her capture the essence of people's stories through her lens. We had become more than friends. We were partners in our new lives, supporting each other's dreams. One evening, as I was working on my latest journal design, my phone rang. It was my mother. Our relationship had evolved, becoming more open and honest. "Emily, I wanted to let you know that your father and I are coming to visit next weekend. We'd love to see your new place and maybe even take a short trip together," she said, her voice warm. I was surprised but welcomed the idea. "I'd like that, Mom. It's time for you to see the world through my eyes." The weekend arrived, and my parents stood at my doorstep, their smiles genuine. We toured my apartment, where I explained the significance of each item, especially the watch and the painting. My mother's eyes softened as she listened, realizing how much I had changed. We decided on a day trip to a nearby coastal town, a place I loved for its tranquility and beauty. As we walked along the beach, my father, who had always been more reserved, spoke up. "Emily, I'm proud of you. You've shown us what it means to follow your own path." But my mother added, "And we want to support you, not hinder you. We've missed out on so much because we were too focused on our expectations." It was a moment of healing, of understanding. We talked about my business, Amanda's studio, and the life I had built. They listened, really listened, and I felt seen in a way I hadn't before. That evening, we sat in a small cafe, the sunset painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. My parents shared stories of their younger days, of their dreams and the paths they had taken. It was as if we were all meeting each other anew, with a fresh perspective. As the days passed, I continued to nurture my new life. I joined a local writing group, sharing my travel stories and encouraging others to find their own adventures. I volunteered at a community center, teaching art to children, helping them express themselves through creativity. One day, I received an unexpected email from a travel magazine. They had seen my online business and wanted to feature my story in their next issue. It was an opportunity to share my journey with a broader audience, to inspire others to embrace their own paths. I accepted, and the interview took place in my apartment, with the painting and the watch in the background. The story of the invisible daughter who found herself through a road trip resonated with many, and soon I received messages from people around the country, sharing their own stories of self-discovery. My life was no longer defined by my family's expectations, but by my own choices, my own passions. I was Emily, the woman who chose herself, and with each step forward, I felt more and more like I was exactly where I was supposed to be.